Hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Garrett Fuller with Foundation Software. Appreciate you jumping on this morning and spending a few minutes with me today reviewing Foundation. Um, as most of you are probably aware, Foundation started, well, not that you specifically know that we started 40 years ago. We started about 40 years ago as a full construction accounting software. And then, later on started payroll for construction, which all of you are using, which we of course appreciate. So today we're going to talk about potentially using Foundation for everything, right? For the full construction accounting suite, potentially project management as well. So with that being said, please ask questions as you need to. There's a section on the side of the control panel where you can chime in and ask questions. I'll do my best to address those without sounding pushy about this whatsoever. If anybody has deeper questions, wants a one-on-one overview, that's totally normal. We're not, too aggressive with the approach whatsoever. So if you want to kind of take a one-to-one approach going through the software with me or another person here, that's great. It's kind of the intent of at least giving you a sneak peek here. So from the main menu, I'm just going to dive right in just to keep the time efficient and effective as best that I can. Most of you, if you're the individuals that are contributing to the payroll for construction side, you're used to logging in and you primarily work within the payroll module. Of course, you have your job costing module where you can set up your jobs, right? But we're not fully taking advantage of the full system. So for a lot of our clients that are on payroll for construction, obviously they use something else for their accounting, whether it's QuickBooks or competitive product to Foundation. And bringing everything in one space really does prove to be very effective because we have, just like I mentioned, everything together. I'm not re-entering data. I'm not trying to do job costing meshed up in Excel. So we're going to kind of focus on that. The very top of the core package, that's our base modules. And that's giving all the standard accounting functionality, reconciliations, journal entries, financials, all of your job costing, which we'll take a little focus on that today. Accounts payable, paying invoices, billing for your work. We'll take a look at some construction billing forms. So again, that's kind of an all-in-one suite, but we're giving you all these construction-specific features. Retainage tracking, change orders, much better job costing, purchase order and subcontract management. There's lien waivers, 1099s. So we'll highlight some of those. The middle group, where it says additional modules here in that middle section, those are your potential add-on modules. We have a lot of contractors using this system that do different things. Some have heavy equipment. Some have an inventory. Some have none of that, right? So these are a la carte, and those are just modules that our clients can add anytime, down the road, up front, never. As we tell a lot of companies, it's okay to start with the classics and then add on as you start to grow with the system. Otherwise, of course, a lot of companies do add a number of other features right off the bat. So those are your optional modules. At the very bottom, these are part of our base package as well. This dashboard tool, I'll actually hop in that in a minute. At the very bottom, we have security. There's many options on that, right? Who can get in the software, what a person can specifically see and do. Even go into payroll. Maybe somebody can get into payroll but not see executives. Maybe somebody can't see, AP or AR at all, or maybe they can, but they can only, put invoices in and not cut checks. So you get very specific on a security standpoint. PM security, right? PMs only see their jobs if they ever log in for reporting. This Genie's area, I like to point that out as well. We do have a drop and drag report writer and form designer as part of that section. There's other features there, but as I start to go through some of the software, just keep that in mind. Our clients, with or without our help, can design, say, custom job reports if they want, maybe customize a AR invoice template or a purchase order if they want something different than the preloaded ones. Now, just like for payroll for construction, our support's all in-house, right? It's the same company, right? Same support staff, same ownership, all that. So we've got about 50 people in support. Training is all done direct. And the nice part is for companies that have the payroll module already live with payroll for construction, we're just kind of expanding on that, right? We're opening up the rest of the system so they can bring everything together. So let's take a peek. So I'm going to hop into our dashboard tool. We're just going to look at some job costing, one of the key things a lot of people are looking for. Now, on the surface here, these are some of my active projects. I have a whole bunch of other jobs. And when we set a job up in our system, you can label the job. You know, is it a commercial job? Is it a public job? Is it retail? Is it a tenant improvement? I'm making up stuff, right? But you can label your jobs with your own custom categories. So when you run reports, you can not only just see active jobs, you can specify, you know, maybe one project manager's jobs, maybe jobs that are just within the certain division, etc. So for this group of projects, just a quick snapshot. What have I billed compared to the contract amount? You know, what's our estimated and actual cost? Now you can start in any detail you'd like. If you want to run the most nitty-gritty report right off the bat, that's fine. I'm just kind of starting off on a summary level, which I'll start to drill down here. Anything blue you can click on, right? And you know, you already have jobs in payroll for construction. It's the same jobs. So those are alphanumeric. I've got my estimated profit, my actual profit. You know, if we wanted to see a job further, we'd simply click it, and I'll dive into a sample. So we're still at a summary point, you know, looking at a snapshot of this job, for example. And, you know, we're seeing, you know, contract summary with our change orders split out. We're seeing our percentage of completion as an example. Commitments, so that's going to give a quick view here of any purchase orders and or subcontracts that we've entered. You know, what have we been billed, what's left. But let's take a peek at the cost. So this job, we're sitting around $200,000, right? So if I hit that detail button, the link, we're going to see that information broken down into some type of cost distribution. So this varies a lot from each company that uses our software. And two main things off the bat. You know, a lot of our clients use cost codes, and a lot of them don't. That's not good, that's not bad, that's indifferent, right? Whatever seems to be the best fit. So some people call these phases or CSI codes, right? Same concept. These are the activities that are being performed. So if this was a, you know, a company doing, you know, drywall, they'd probably have hanging, you know, framing, taping, sanding, you know, these are just random samples. So these are the activities that your company would be performing. And so I can click on a cost code, and I'd see that cost obviously broken down by its labor, potentially material, subs, equipment, burden. These can grow or change, these cost categories. Now, for people not using cost codes, they'd at least be able to see something like this in total, right? Grand total labor with variances and hours, materials, subs. So again, it just depends on the scope of a job, how detailed people want or are able to track those dollars. And that's information that we can import from estimating softwares, from Excel, right? So those are things that, just depending on what people do, half the companies I talk to every day use Excel for estimating. It's like, that's fine. Others do use an estimating system in the market because there's a lot of trade specific ones, and we can import data from those. But those would be yours. Now you can keep going, and really right now, you know, our clients on our payroll service, they already have the labor going to our job costing. They have the burden going there. That's it. Not that that's not important. That's super important. But then you're also getting material, right? Any subcontract expenses, potentially equipment. So it's all here. Now, again, as I noted, you can keep going. All right, I can see the time card history. That's part of our payroll module that's already in play. Burden, right? And that is the overhead from payroll. That's your FICA, your FUTA, your SUTA, your workers' comp, any fringes, general liability insurance, right? Materials. So obviously this is kind of the easy part, you know, for companies as they're looking at data, as their jobs progress. You know, I clicked into materials. You know, here's an invoice that I, you know, coded from accounts payable, and I attached an image as an option, right? So again, this is just giving us that visibility as we're looking at jobs and profitability and where we're at. We can start to hone in on some, you know, transaction level information. So a lot of different ways to see this data. This is just one report out of, I don't know, 40, 50 job cost reports. There's change order management, and I'm just going to hit some of these key topics. So again, you know, we have a job that starts with a contract and an estimate. As change orders happen and are marked approved, like this section here, that's going to update our total revised contract amount as an example. So of course you have the ability within the system to track change orders with different statuses, see how those progress throughout the project and their profit. You know, financials, again, we're still doing accounting. You know, it's just everything on top of it that makes us a little bit more special than something off the shelf, of course. WIP reports, right? People call these WIP, bonding, over under billing. Another standard example of a preloaded report. But again, there's the report writer. If somebody said, hey, I want to change this, right? If I want to make a different variation of an over under billing or WIP, that's okay. We can drag and drop, move things around. There's cash management, payables, receivable summaries, you know, even things just as simple as tracking retainage, right? An easy concept within the system. When you're putting in an AR invoice or an AP invoice, show it properly on, you know, your outstanding aging reports, and just seeing that information is typically pretty helpful. Now, again, I'm just kind of scratching the surface here. There's a whole lot of other job reports, financials, right? Now, on a job record, I'm just going to quickly pull up a project, and I want to point out a real quick field or two about budgets, right? So when we have a job in the system, you know, we can have let's do a different one here, right? We'd have a contract amount, estimated cost, you know, we'd fill those in, of course, but the budget screen is where we can break down those dollars, right? So, you know, the ones that I've had here, those are the ones I've assigned. So these are my potential cost codes. These are all samples. I've got masonry stuff, electrical, mechanical, who knows, framing, drywall. So these are the related tasks or cost codes that we're performing. The one that's this orange or yellow is just, it's already got history on it, just as an FYI. That's why I can't change it. But so that way, when we enter time cards, say into payroll, or enter an AP invoice, once I pick the job, we're only able to select the budgeted codes for that job. And that's applicable to our mobile options as well. So when a person in the field keys a job on a time card, well, we're only able to put data to the appropriate budgeted cost codes for that job. I also want to point out real quick, some of these other fields can be really helpful. You know, attaching not only a customer, attaching maybe a PM, a location. You know, these could be counties, cities, job type. These are up to you. You know, is it a hospital? Is it a bridge? Is it DOT work? Is it service work, government work, whatever you want to come up with? I'll give you the ability to run reports based on those variables. Now, you know, we have purchase order and subcontract management. You're already familiar with the payroll, right? Or at least to some degree, depending if you're the actual user of it. And that's feeding these two modules. Great. That data is already hitting your financials, right? It's already going to job costing. Great. We just don't have everything else. And I mean, we do, right? Once the full system's in play. Committed cost control. I won't go through a detailed entry, but we can track purchase orders. We can track subcontracts, right? We can create custom contracts. We can create custom purchase orders. And from a high level, it's doing a few things. One, creating the document, but it's giving us that easy visibility of what's out there for these committed costs. What have I been billed? Like, here's a subcontract with apparently a change order. Here's the amount of that subcontract or PO, depending on the example. What did they bill us? What did I actually pay that vendor from that commitment? What's left, right? So this number where it shows remaining, that shows up on a lot of job reports, so we can see not only our actual cost, but what's sitting out there is open in our committed cost. And those transition to AP, and AP's, you know, I'd hate to say pretty straightforward, but it is. It's not that some unique, you know, special things can't happen in accounts payable, but for the most part, we're putting in invoices to jobs, or just to vendors, right? If it's office supplies, your internet bill, right? There's no job. But obviously, when there is jobs, we put a job in, or jobs plural at the bottom of the screen. If I throw this, you know, $10,000 invoice into this job, you know, I can break down this example to any number of jobs, cost codes, like just like a time card can, right? Where you can put an employee in and put their, you know, day or week to different jobs, activity codes, all that. But again, I can also connect that to a PO or a sub, and it would make sure we're not billed too much. It would yell at us, right? It'll either stop us or warn us, depending on how strict you want that to be. But bottom line is now we're feeding our job costing and our general ledger not only for payroll, but accounts payable, and properly categorizing invoices to projects when it is job related. Again, you can attach images in the system. AP is a common area to do that. So I pressed import image, it launches this window, and it gives me the opportunity to, in my case, just attach a PDF, right? So, whether you scanned it from a hard copy or you received it as a PDF already, once we do this, it's now stuck in the system. It's part of this transaction. I could look at it on another screen if that's helpful, while I'm entering it, but now that I've attached it, it's now part of this record. It's stuck in our database. It's backed up in the software. It's there permanently. That can also potentially route for approval. So invoices can go in. You can attach documents, of course. If you'd like those to route for approval, you can set up approval rules. So I can go into the imaging module as an approver, which I'm taking that role now, and I can see my list of pending invoices that I've received. So this would be me as an approver, and you set up routing rules. I mean, we would do that with you. Maybe invoices go to the project manager, right? Or if it's over a certain dollar value, it goes to the controller or owner or something. But I'd have the opportunity to look at these and make sure that they're coded properly, for example, before they're committed to the system. So they're kind of in a middle mode. They're entered, they're not posted or final yet, because it's waiting for us to come here. As say this one, I'm looking at this pending transaction and I'm making sure it's coded properly. And if it is, I can mark it approved. If it's something I need to change, I can revise it, maybe change cost codes or add another line item as it says in green, if I want to break down that dollar value to a couple different categories or something like that. So it gives us that opportunity to kind of be in this middle ground area and review these and approve them or edit them before they're finalized. We have visibility of those in job costing and accounts payable, for the users that should, right? They're not lost or hidden. Like I can run an open payable report like I'm doing right now and say, basically include these unapproved invoices, right? So I still have visibility of those. I can still potentially see them on job reports. They just show up with a little hashtag indicating that it's not, formally approved yet. So maybe somebody else can push those through. Now you can obviously cut checks out of the system. You can pay paper checks out of the program. You can upload electronic funds transfers to pay vendors electronically. There's 1099s, there's lien waivers. These are customizable. There's partial, final, conditional. We have different templates that are already there if those are something that would be needed. On the billing side, and I realize I'm just kind of touching the high level, and there is sales and use tax tracking, right? So AP and AR have tax management as well. That's applicable. But accounts receivable, the two main options, you've got your AIAs or progress billings, and you've got standard invoice entry, which is kind of anything else. The AIA one's a little bit more special in the sense that it's progress billings, right? So if I pull up a example here, so I'm on app one, this is my schedule of values, which was a small sample, but now this can populate from our budget. So we don't have to manually do this. Now, if it's not the same as our budget from the project, that's okay. We can still just enter this manually or import from a spreadsheet or whatnot, but the schedule of value can get generated from the job itself. And I just threw in a percent complete as an example. I've got retainage being held, which I had set at 10% on that job. So we're going to show that properly as held retainage. We can, that'll be showing on reports properly. We can release that anytime, partial or final. But we'll go ahead and progress with this AIA and potentially post it, right? So this is just more of the standard format. Just kind of scrolling down here. If you use something different, that's okay as far as the visual of it, but this is more of the classic one. So I'm gonna go ahead and post it. Now you don't have to, you could send it out without committing it to the system if you wanted it to just be set in kind of like in limbo for a minute in case there's revisions, and it just tells us what it did, it posted it, so it kind of pushed it throughout the system as it should. But now if I pull this back up in the AIA screen, which we're still at, we're now on application or billing number 2, because we did one, right? So previous is filled in, which this is going to keep growing as things progress. But if I need to make a correction, as an example, maybe there's revision, I can hit rollback. So accounting wise, it's doing the proper revision for us behind the scenes. It's saying, are you sure? Yes. So the audit trail is there. If I run like a GL detail report or an AR detail report, it shows the in, the out, who did it, when. But to us, the end user right now, it just brought us back to that prior application so I can make the appropriate changes and move along, right? Redo it. So we try to do a number of things like this. Now, if somebody says, hey, are you as easy as QuickBooks? No, right? I'm not, too naive to that. But I think in our space, I think we're truly one of the easiest to use once somebody progresses from an off-the-shelf system like QuickBooks. If somebody's coming from another older construction platform, I would say yes, we're going to most likely be easier just because of our workflows in place. Now, everything that I'm talking about here, and again, basic contract billing, small T&M, formal T&M, we have the functionality for that too. But it's all flowing here, right? We've got our financials, we've got our balance sheets, income statements. You can do divisionalized financials for different profit centers within the company. You can have multiple year comparatives, monthly budget versus actual. So I mean, those are, again, there's a number of options. Again, you do still have your journal entry features, check registers or bank recs, which a lot of times I don't even bring that up, but not that it's not important, right? But I'm hoping every accounting system has reconciliation features. But I think QuickBooks people call it like their check register, whatever. They have different terminology for certain things. But that's all there. In fact, one of our biggest sources of referrals are accountants, most often construction specific, right? We do actually have a module, especially if it's a CPA that you work with that's not construction focused. They may not know us, and that's okay. But either way, we have a module that's kind of geared towards CPAs where they can pop in, and we bundle a lot of common items for them in one spot. Overhead allocation features, cash flow reporting, WIP reports, 941s, billing backlogs. We try to gravitate a lot of key features for them in one spot. There is free education for CPAs as well. We do webinars where they get CPE credits and some other cool things. I wanted to pop into here. So this is a solution that we rolled out a couple years ago called Project HQ. Now, the core application that I just poked through for a bit has a lot of key project management-ish features: job costing, change order control, purchase orders, subcontracts. And for a lot of companies, that's sufficient. That's enough. However, a lot of companies more and more might have deeper PM needs, and they ideally want to accommodate those in one solution, right? Just like thinking of bringing payroll for construction and foundation together. Awesome. It's all seamless. It's all in one. It's wonderful. Well, this is another option to tack onto that ecosystem to do a more formal project management. And this is all connected to that same ecosystem or database. So like jobs that are in foundation, they're here. And so the basics of what we're tackling in Project HQ is managing documents, right, with additional details, submittals, as you see some of them here, recent documents, overdue, upcoming. We got change orders, RFIs, submittals, maybe daily logs, meeting minutes, punch lists. So it's document control, contact management, and also having the ability to like track emails, documents, upload drawings, pictures, more like a Dropbox concept. So like if I jump into a job, the left-hand side of the screen is specific to this project. So I'll kind of go down the list here a little bit. So we've got our job details, job status, location, owner, contract amount, for example. And these are the jobs that are in foundation, right? I have access to. Now I'm only seeing my jobs as a user, of course. Resources, who's part of the job, right? So these are anything from owners, architects, suppliers, subs, right? I can do group emails, send out alerts and things to different parties on the job. We do have a scheduling feature here that I'm going to bounce back to in a minute. Action items, think of it as anything from an alert, a follow-up, a to-do list. These can shoot notifications to people if something's overdue or past due or coming due. AIA worksheets. So just a bit ago, we were in the AIA screen. Well, this gives the opportunity for maybe more of somebody on the field side or operations side to actually go in and update the percentage of completion on these and it syncs back to the AR side. So they're not taking up a seat or meddling in the accounting environment, but they're able to update these values so we can then push these through the system and actually do the billing in the formal accounting environment. Daily logs. This gives the opportunity to track, some companies kind of live and die by these daily logs, others may not need them. It just, depends. But tracking labor, potential delays, equipment usage, manpower, notes, pictures, visitors, weather snapshots, which are automatic. So I'm just bouncing around here to find one that had some activity, which has been apparently a few days since I've done one. But yeah, so I had I had a delay, I had equipment. I'll just click into one of these here. But and it gives us the opportunity to, of course, on any of these areas, I can do, and I can say yes to include any of these or not, right? But it's going to give us the view of for any day in the past, right? Was there any delays, equipment usage, materials, visitors, labor, right? That we've had. You can add pictures to these as well. So on any of these areas, whether I'm working in daily logs, RFIs, submittals, I have the opportunity to send these out, do a submittal log, do a punch list, maybe manage, meetings, change orders. Now you can do change orders right within our core system, the classic pure foundation side. I can do change orders here along with purchase orders, but maybe I'm at the job site, maybe I'm just going to open up my tablet and issue a change order. Maybe it's pending. I'm going to send this into foundation, right? So that's where things send for review or push the change order to foundation. So it just goes from the operations and or field side and pushes it to our core accounting environment to finish that up. Committed cost, same idea. I can do a purchase order or subcontract right within the accounting side, but guess what? Maybe I'm issuing a PO request from the field, right? And I'm going to have that, shoot into foundation's PO module to move forward with. Collaboration, maybe a little overused term in the market, but mailbox. So this is emails related to the project that we've sent out, potentially received, right? So that way I can go, oh yeah, I sent this out to this person last week. There's a track record, an audit trail of that. And files is essentially just a big, I hate to say Dropbox, but it's kind of what it is. So storage tool here, we can have different folders within folders, whatever hierarchy we have in play is fine. I could have Word docs, image files, PDFs. Gives us the ability to potentially annotate, markup, do drawings, highlight fields on a document. So I can come in and draw on things, highlight areas, maybe make a comment, pencil stuff, approve things, add signatures, measurements. Right, so it gives us some nice functionality here for markups and annotations that we can save and track layers. Right, oh, we did this on this day. Now we have another revision to it. So it gives some deeper functionality on that side of it too. The schedule piece, I just want to quickly bounce in. This gives us the opportunity to, well, one, add tasks and jobs. Right, so I can see who's doing what, when, and where. So these are various activities that we're performing, whether it's multiple or one on a job, and I'm assigning potentially employees, equipment, and I have the opportunity to bounce between the different views of this information. Now, not see it by job, but by person. Kobe's doing this over on this job, Michael's doing hauling or something, and or by piece of equipment. So I can see where all these items are scheduled. Okay, there is an opportunity for employees to see. And I know the time frame, I wanted to wrap up about half hour, but employees can get updated in potentially real time when their schedule is changed or addressed. So they have the opportunity to click a link that's sent to them and see that live, right? That calendar for their activities and where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do. And then potentially further, right? Or just separate or in addition to use our mobile application to complete their labor from the field. Right, so even for everybody here that's part of payroll for construction, I mean the whole system's great in the sense that it's all in one. But even in addition to that or separate than that, I mean the mobile app is still applicable, right? Which I'm sure many of you already use, but the our mobile application can be used with payroll for construction with or without the full, foundation software as a complete package. Okay. Now, yeah. So as a quick note, guys, if anybody has follow-ups, right, we're going to send a recording to everybody, right? So this will go out to anybody who's registered and or attended, of course. If anybody had specific questions, I'll see those and I'll respond out. But yeah, this is Garrett. Anybody has anything that they want to reach out to me directly on, let me quick just pull up a email address here. But up to you, right? And you can just reach out to our standard 800 number, right, from a sales standpoint, or just questions, right? I'm not going to hound you or anything like that. But yeah, if you need anything from me, here's me, right? Right here. So that's me. So if you have questions, it's just gef@foundationsoft.com. Please reach out directly if any questions. We'll send like I said, a recording to everybody who registered and or attended. And I appreciate it. Hopefully it was informational, and everybody enjoy the rest of the day.